Hello, this is Mr. White. We're on Chapter 10. This is Lesson 5, Plant Responses and Growth. My Planet Diary. Flower Power. What makes a plant flower? Plants detect the amount of light each day. When there's just enough light, the plant sends a signal to the flower. But what is this signal? For almost 80 years, the answer remained a mystery. In 2008, scientists discovered the protein that was responsible. They linked the protein they thought controlled flowering to a fluorescent or glowing protein they obtained from a jellyfish. Then they watched the bright green protein travel with the flowering protein through the stem to make the plant bloom. Why does this experiment matter? Global climate change is starting to hurt crops. Some places near the equator are becoming too warm to farm. Areas closer to Earth's poles may be needed to grow more crops as they warm. These areas, however, do not get as much sunlight. Scientists could use the flowering protein to encourage plants to flower without direct sunlight. What are 3 stimuli that produce plant responses? You may be one of those people who close up their window shades at night because the morning light wakes you up. People respond to many stimuli each day. Did you know plants also respond to some of the same stimuli, including light? Tropisms. Animals usually respond to stimuli by moving. Unlike animals, plants usually respond by growing either toward or away from a stimulus. A plant's growth response toward or away from a stimulus is called trophism. If a plant grows toward the stimulus, it is said to show a positive trophism. If a plant grows away from a stimulus, it shows a negative trophism. Touch, gravity, and light are 3 important stimuli that trigger growth responses or trophisms in plants. Touch. Some plants show a response to touch called thigmotrophism. The prefix thigmo comes from a Greek word that means touch. The stems of many vines, such as morning glories, sweet peas, and grapes, show a positive thigmotrophism. As the vines grow, they coil around any object they touch. Gravity. Plants can respond to gravity. This response is called gravitrophism. Roots show positive gravitrophism if they grow downward. Stems, on the other hand, show negative gravitrophism. Stems grow upward against gravity. Light. All plants exhibit a response to light called phototropism. The leaves, stems, and flowers of plants grow toward light. This shows a positive phototropism. A plant receives more energy for photosynthesis by growing toward the light. Plants are able to respond to a stimulus because they produce hormones. A hormone produced by a plant is a chemical that affects how the plant grows and develops. One important plant hormone is named auxin. Auxin speeds up the rate at which a plant's cells grow and controls a plant's response to light. When light shines on one side of a plant's stem, auxin builds up in the shaded area of the stem. The cells on the shaded side begin to grow faster. The cells on the stem's shaded side are longer than those on the sunny side. The stem bends toward the light. How do plants respond to seasonal changes? People have long observed that plants respond to the changing seasons. Some plants bloom in early spring, while others don't bloom until summer. The leaves on some trees change color in autumn, and then fall off by winter. Photoperiodism. What triggers a plant to flower? The amount of darkness a plant receives determines the time of flowering in many plants. A plant's response to seasonal changes in the length of night and day is called photoperiodism. Plants respond differently to the length of nights. Some plants will only bloom when the night lasts a certain length of time. This length, called the critical night length, is the number of hours of darkness that determines whether or not a plant will flower. For example, if a plant has a critical night length of 11 hours, It will flower only when nights are longer than 11 hours. You can read more on how different plants respond to night lengths in Figure 2. Photoperiodism, plants and night length. Short day plants flower when nights are longer than a critical length. They bloom in fall or winter. Long day plants flower when nights are shorter than a critical length. They bloom in spring or summer. Day neutral plants have a flowering cycle that is not sensitive to periods of light and dark. They can bloom year-round, depending on weather. Winter dormancy. Some plants prepare differently than others for certain seasons. As winter draws near, many plants prepare to go into a state of dormancy. Dormancy is a period when an organism's growth or activity stops. Dormancy helps plants survive freezing temperatures and the lack of liquid water. With many trees, the first visible change is that the leaves begin to turn color. Cooler weather and shorter days cause the leaves to stop making chlorophyll. As chlorophyll breaks down, yellow and orange pigments become visible. In addition, the plant begins to produce new red pigments. This causes the brilliant colors of autumn leaves. Over the next few weeks, sugar and water are transported out of the tree's leaves. When the leaves fall on the ground, the tree is ready for winter.